Namaskar, good afternoon friends, and welcome to this special briefing on Rashtrapati Ji's state visit to Myanmar. As announced, I have with me the Foreign Secretary of India, Shri Vijay Gokhale, Joint Secretary Bangladesh and Myanmar, Vikram Doraiswamy, and Press Secretary to President Ashok Malik for a briefing on the visit. We will start with the opening remarks by the Foreign Secretary, and after that others will join, and then we will take some questions from the floor. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I want to brief you on the state visit of the Honorable President of India and Srimati Kovind to Myanmar. This will be a 3-day state visit from the 11th to the 13th of December. And this will be the first visit by a President of India in 12 years. The last visit was in the year 2006. It is also the first visit for the new President of Myanmar. The visitor from India will be his first state visitor since he took office in March this year. And our President's visit comes in the backdrop of several important political exchanges that have taken place in the last 18 months. Prime Minister's visit to Myanmar in September 2017. Daw Aung San Suu Kyi, State Councillor's visit to India for the 26th of January 2018 when she was one of the 10 leaders at the ASEAN Commemorative Summit, and then External Affairs Minister's visit to Myanmar in May 2018. I will run through the highlights of the program for our President during his visit to Myanmar. The President and the First Lady will arrive in Naypyidaw, the capital of Myanmar, very late in the evening of the 10th of December, and there will therefore be no engagements on that day. On the main day, which is the 11th of December, there will be a ceremonial welcome accorded to the President at Naypyidaw, and this will be followed by delegation talks with President U Win Mint of Myanmar, and then a meeting with Daw Aung San Suu Kyi, the State Councillor. And that will be followed by the signing of agreements which are still under finalization, and we will be able to inform you about it shortly. The same evening, an official dinner or banquet will be hosted by the President of Myanmar and the First Lady for our President and First Lady, and this will also include a small cultural performance. On the following day, which is the 12th of December, the Honorable President will visit the Advanced Center for Agricultural Research and Education and the Rice Biopark. These are both Government of India projects funded by grants. And at the Advanced Center for Agricultural Research and Education, the President of India will also launch a mobile application for agricultural technology. He will visit some labs at this institution, and at the Rice Biopark, he will visit the Knowledge Center. Immediately after these two visits, the President and First Lady will emplane for Yangon. And later that day, that is the 12th of December, in Yangon, they will lay a wreath at the Martyrs Mausoleum. That is also the resting place of General Aung San, Daw Aung San Suu Kyi's late father. And they will visit, of course, the famous Shwe Dagon Pagoda in Myanmar. Later that evening, there will be a short meeting and a photo opportunity with veterans of the Indian National Army, the INA, the surviving members of the INA. And this is followed immediately after by a community reception in honor of the President and First Lady, hosted by our ambassador, at which about 500 people, mostly persons of Indian origin, will be invited. On day 3 of the visit, the President and the First Lady will begin with cultural programs. They will visit the Sri Kali temple and the mazar of the last Mughal Emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar. And then the President will inaugurate Enterprise India exhibition. This is an exhibition being set up by the CII of about 45 or 50 Indian companies, ranging from very large Indian companies to small enterprises, to showcase Indian manufacturing capabilities and industrial technology. And later that afternoon, the President and First Lady will visit the Dhammajyoti Vipassana Meditation Center. They will leave very early in the morning on Friday the 14th of December, to return to New Delhi, and therefore there will be no official engagements on that day. That is essentially the program that the President and First Lady will have when they visit Myanmar. Before I conclude, I wanted to also just put in perspective what this visit means for India. Myanmar is, of course, a close neighbor. It is also, by virtue of being an ASEAN country, the only one to which we are linked by land and sea. Therefore, it serves for us as a link to Southeast Asia. And for these reasons, it is a country with which India attaches importance from the strategic perspective, from the economic perspective, and from the cultural perspective, given our cultural linkages and our diaspora present in Myanmar. We have, over the years, and to the best of our ability and within our capacity, given financial support and project assistance to Myanmar. In terms of grants, close to $1 billion over the years. In terms of lines of credit, close to about $80 million. A number of infrastructure projects are underway. This includes the trilateral highway, which will eventually connect India to Thailand through Myanmar, and of course the Kaladan multimodal project. A number of smaller projects which are meant for community development are underway or have been completed. Two of them will, of course, be visited by the Honorable President. A couple of more hospitals, vocational centers, and so on are either completed or close to completion. We have, of course, restored the Ananda Temple in Bagan, which is one of their most prestigious cultural sites. That restoration has been greatly appreciated by the government of Myanmar. And late last year, we signed the Rakhine State Development Program, which was a program designed to assist the government of Myanmar in Rakhine State to build housing infrastructure for return of displaced persons. 250 units were planned for the first phase, and by virtual means, the President of India will in fact be dedicating or handing over the first 50 units to the Myanmar side. Again, this is something which has been appreciated not just by the government of Myanmar, but also by the United Nations and other agencies. We have a modest trade with Myanmar, about $1.6 billion. That is something we would certainly like to see an increase in. We give very substantial training support to the government of Myanmar, about 1,000 scholarships, both on the civilian side and on the non-civilian side. So in a sense, our relationship with Myanmar is diverse. It is growing more and more intense by the day. We enjoy very good political relations, which is evinced by the fact that we have had now several top-level visits in the last 18 months. And we have good cooperation in the region, both because Myanmar is a member of ASEAN and because Myanmar is a member of BIMSTEC. So I will stop there, and if there are any questions, I will take them. But before that, I would request my colleague, the Press Secretary to the President, Shri Ashok Malik, a few words in supplement to what I have said.
Thank you, sir. After the very comprehensive briefing by the Foreign Secretary to Rashtrapati Kovind's visit, this is President Kovind's 8th state visit and 7th and final visit of the year 2018. This is also his first visit to a country with which India shares a land border. It is his second visit after the Vietnam visit recently to an ASEAN country. As the Foreign Secretary mentioned, President Kovind will be engaging with the government and leadership of Myanmar on a wide variety of issues, ranging from connectivity to trade and investment, people-to-people connections, and agriculture. He is also very happy that he will be visiting some cherished locations of cultural commonality, including the Shwedagon Pagoda, the historic Kali temple that goes back almost 150 years, and the mausoleum of Bahadur Shah Zafar, a symbol of the uprising of 1857. He will become the second president after President Kalam to visit these locations, and especially the mausoleum. A three-member political delegation is accompanying the president to Myanmar. It comprises Mr. Rajan Gohin, Minister of State for Railways, Mr. Ram Prasad Sarma, Lok Sabha member from Assam, from Tezpur, and Mr. K. Bhavananda Singh, who's a Rajya Sabha member from Manipur. You may like to note that all three members of this delegation, the entirety of this delegation, comprises parliamentarians from the states of the Northeast. This is a recognition of the fact that the development of the Northeast is interlinked with the development of Myanmar and our relationship with Myanmar, and is a tribute to the government's Act East policy and the centrality of the Northeast there. I'd like to stop there, and we'd be happy to answer questions.
Before I take question, ladies and gentlemen, just one correction. I had mentioned that lines of credit was 75 million. It is in fact 750 million. So I just needed to correct that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ashok, for the briefing. Now I open the floor for questions. Ranjit ji. We will take two at a time. Just hold on. Anybody else? Okay. Please go ahead.
Are you also resuming military assistance program to Myanmar? There are reports that 6 Kiran jet trainer aircrafts are to be handed over to Myanmar very shortly.
Shall I ask? Yeah. As you have mentioned that Honorable Rashtrapati ji will first hand over these 50 dwelling units to the Myanmar. So whether India is convinced that the situation in Rakhine state is now peaceful so that the displaced person can go back to their home? Because the international community is still raising some kind of concerns.
Ranjit ji, we have been giving military assistance to the government of Myanmar in terms of training slots for their military. But with regard to provision of equipment, and you are referring specifics to 6 trainer jets, I am not aware of any such proposal. With regard to Gautam's question on the situation in Rakhine State, I would like to distinguish between our Rakhine State development program and the situation there. The dwelling units that we are constructing is our manner of supporting the government of Myanmar to ensure that the necessary infrastructure exists as and when the displaced persons are to return. And in a similar manner, we are giving different kinds of assistance, humanitarian assistance, to the government of Bangladesh as well. So far as the situation in Rakhine State is concerned, the government of India has noted that the governments of Bangladesh and Myanmar have recently reached a bilateral understanding. And obviously, as the only country which neighbors both Bangladesh and Myanmar, we believe it is in our interest and in the interests of the region that this bilateral understanding is implemented as soon as possible and that the displaced persons return to their homeland as soon as possible. As to the timing and as to the conditions, as to the law and order situation and so on, that is a matter for Bangladesh and Myanmar to determine.
Akhilesh ji.
So I was in Manipur last year for covering elections, and I am in touch with the people there. What I saw, and people complained that on the border of India-Myanmar, there are many times Myanmar's army comes inside Indian border, and they also even destroy their houses and other, logistical things. So is ME aware of it? And is any step being taken to stop such type of, interventions inside Indian territory by Myanmar's army?
Thank you. Brahm Prakash.
सर, भारत में जो रोहिंग्या शरणार्थी हैं, क्या इस प्रेसिडेंट के इस विजिट के दौरान ये भी एजेंडा रहेगा कि कैसे टाइम बाउंड उनको वापस भेजा जा सके? और दूसरा सवाल है मेरा कि भारतीय रेलवे ट्रांस एशिया लिंक पर काम कर रहा है म्यांमार के साथ रेल लाइन बढ़ाने को लेकर, तो क्या वो भी एजेंडा में रहेगा कि कैसे म्यांमार के साथ भारतीय रेल को कनेक्ट किया जा सके? थैंक यू.
Akhilesh ji, as you know, the India-Myanmar border has been demarcated, although there are a few areas where demarcation still needs to be done, and one of those areas is a part of Manipur. So obviously there are overlapping situations where there could be inadvertent incursions. However, I think there is a very good understanding between the armed forces of both countries, and we are at the local level resolving all these issues. So we do not see any problem with the government of Myanmar in this regard, and we don't think the government of Myanmar has any issue with us. We will continue to handle the situation, and in consultation with the state government and in consultation with the government of Myanmar. ब्रह्म प्रकाश जी, जो आपने कहा ट्रांस एशिया लिंक जो है एक लॉन्ग टर्म योजना है भारत सरकार की और दूसरे सरकारों की, लेकिन अभी तो जो हमने जो लाइंस ऑफ क्रेडिट उनको दिया है और जो हमारे बाकी प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं उसमें तो अभी ये शामिल नहीं है। हालांकि हम चाहते हैं कि लैंड लिंक के अलावा रेल लिंक भी हो जाए बिटवीन इंडिया एंड थाईलैंड। जहाँ तक रोहिंग्या की इशू की बात है, जैसे मैंने पहले कहा है कि भारत सरकार चाहती है कि क्योंकि वो दोनों हमारे पड़ोसी देश हैं, भारत सरकार चाहती है कि उन दोनों ने जो बातचीत की है, जो समझौता उन दोनों के बीच में हुआ है, वो समझौता जितनी जल्दी लागू हो उतना जल्दी क्षेत्र के लिए अच्छा है। लेकिन कब समझौता लागू होगा, किस तरह से लागू होगा, कब वापस जाएंगी, ये दोनों देश की सरकार ही बीच पे बात करके ये निर्णय किया जाएगा।
कई बार भारतीय एजेंसियों ने इस तरह की जानकारी दी है कि जो भारत में रोहिंग्या शरणार्थी हैं, कई आतंकवादी गतिविधियों में लिप्त हैं, उनको वापस भेजा जाना चाहिए। तो क्या वापसी को लेकर कोई एजेंडा है इस यात्रा में?
देखिए, ये सवाल जो है आपको गृह मंत्रालय को पूछना पड़ेगा। ये विदेश मंत्रालय इस पे विदेश मंत्रालय कोई टिप्पणी नहीं कर सकता है।
पद्मा एंड सृंजॉय।
My name is Seema Guha.
Oh, sorry.
I wanted to ask you about the Trans-Asian Highway. We've been hearing about it for the last, 20 years. Is there a timeline or a time of when will it be operational? I hear certain areas, it is working, but you can't have a real proper drive-through so far. And the other thing is, another small thing, how much Indian investment is there in Myanmar?
Thank you. Srinjoy?
So from last month, there have been several reports, even in the MAC, about insurgents in Burma, in Myanmar, coming into Manipur with IEDs. Now, this is a security problem. Is this issue likely to be raised during the meetings with Aung San Suu Kyi or even the president?
Seema, the trilateral highway, what is called the transnational highway or the trilateral highway, in large part has been completed by, of course, 3 separate governments. But there is one issue which we are at the moment resolving, and that is perhaps the last issue. There are some key bridges which span rivers or streams, which are under construction, and that work has already begun. MEA has already, these are against lines of credit. Yes, so now the work is underway. It is likely to take time because we are operating in difficult conditions, both geographically and in terms of security in some cases because of the disturbances in parts of Myanmar. But this is a project which is important from government's perspective, and we are giving full focus to it. On the investments, may I get back to you on this because I don't have these figures. My colleague will meet you after this and give this to you. Srinjoy, so far as the matter that you are referring to, I cannot comment on the specifics of what has happened in the last month or 2 months, but this is a matter that we have raised at all levels, both at the local levels where the commanders meet and at higher levels. This is, of course, a presidential visit. And in a presidential visit, there is only a broad overview of relations that normally takes place. The president is not the executive head of the country, but we will in some manner or the other express our concerns. Having said that, I want to stress again that the 2 governments and the armed forces of the 2 countries have a very good understanding and we are able to resolve, we are able to discuss issues frankly, and we are able to resolve them. And therefore, we expect that this time around as well, any incidents that you mention, any incidents you refer to, will be discussed and will be resolved. My colleague informs me, Seema, that our investment is in the range of about $740 million.
We will take the last two questions. Ji. If you can also introduce yourself.
Yeah, Prasad from the Tribune, please. Prasad from the Tribune newspaper. You mentioned of the Kaladan multimodal project. Integral to it is the Sitwe port, and it was supposed to be operational by 2019 according to timelines. Was there any clarity as to how is it progressing, please?
Any other question from the floor? Yes, please. Ramanand.
So there's also a Chinese port being built at Gyakpu. Are there any plans to link our sort of infrastructure there with the Chinese port as well?
Thank you. Mr. Prasad, the Sitwe port is already operational. At this stage, what we are now in the process of doing is floating tenders to appoint a port operator, a permanent port operator from Myanmar. So Sitwe port is operational, and the efforts are now underway to connect Sitwe port by road, the road part to the Myanmar-Mizoram border. So that is the part of the Kaladan multimodal project which is not yet finished. Ramanand, there is no plan to connect Chokfu port to any of our projects as of now.
Thank you, sir. This concludes our special press briefing on President's state visit to Myanmar. And thank you all for joining.